nerds. Welcome to Nerds with Dice. We're raising money for the Trans Justice Funding Project, and you can find links to learn more about TJFP in the chat, as well as our donation links. And today we are playing another one shot in Vildheim, the Norse-inspired setting from Our Valley Queer Heroes. Some of these people you've already seen being badass shield maidens, but then our mystery guest has not been an awesome shield maiden yet, so that will be amazing. Let's do a quick intro and tell everybody who you are and who you're playing. And Mary, you go first.
Hi, everybody. My name's Mary. I use she, her pronouns. Today, I'm going to be playing Aoife. Ugh, my voice cracked on that. Aoife. Her pronouns are she, her as well. And she is our witch.
All right, awesome. Sophia, tell us who you are playing today.
Hi, yeah, I'm Sophia, she, her, we pronouns, and I will be playing Katla, and her pronouns are she, her, and she is a lore keeper.
That is right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And last but not least, Caldry.
Hello, I am Keldry. My pronouns are am, air, and I will be playing Lark, our Vetir hunter slash all around navigator. And their pronouns are they, them, their.
Awesome. And I am Vivi. I will be your storyteller tonight. This is number 3 of one shots that are kind of based on the seasons and some Norse holidays. So, welcome back to Vildheim. That's, has been a land of restless seasons, forgotten spirits and like deep rooted bonds between people in the wild. In the deep of winter, you guys followed Whispers and Claw Marks out of Aska in the mountains, where a legend, the Yule Cat, stalked the snow. And in the wake of that frost came the spring, but you had to help an iced over magical tree bloom once more in visions of ice and blossoms of life. And that was also more a tale of old love and healing that together with the tree. But now it's summer, and Astrid had forwarded you guys a letter from her daughter, Secret. And Secret lives in Corndal, and the village of Corndal lies on the edge of green fields and granite outcrops. It is just at the northern bottom of the mountains. It basically brings Aska and all of the mountain villages their food. It's their breadbasket. That is the closest where the fields grow better than they are on the bottom, of the mountain, and where it is way colder and there's more snow. So it is known for its harvest, and its warmth of spirit, and it now teeters at the edge of a wild imbalance. Something ancient might have stirred, something joyful but overwhelming. The crops grow too quickly, the streams flood their banks, and the spirits once thought only legend begin to wake. This is a season of light and overgrowth, of joy that might turn to ruin, and this is Thorns of Sun and Roots of Chaos. So, you guys have gotten that letter, and from whichever cool bounty hunter adventure you guys were on, you make your way to Corndal to help again. And yeah, lost my train of thought. Let me give you the introduction. We are in Vildheim. Vildheim. Think of the map. We are at the very, very top left of the map, close to the Thunder Peaks, which is the coldest and the highest mountains in Vildheim. Aska was very much at the very foot of the mountain. Storm pines, kind of magically, trees. This is the only place they grow. And the further south, the deeper you go away from the mountain. Even here in Corndale, you only see them once in a while. And this is not, don't think of this like the Netherlands or other places or whatever, Nebraska. It's not, this is not flat country. It is hilly. It is outcrops. It is up. It is down. It is creeks. This is not the flat land that, maybe I or other people are used to. But it is very, very fruitful. So as you guys walk together, you crest like a gentle ridge, and there comes Corndal into your view. There's low stone walls that crisscross the green landscape, enclosing groves, fields, and some grazing pastures. You see some goats, you see some other, animals. You can smell the scent of clover, turned soil, and wood smoke kind of drift on the air. There's just like a handful of sprinkled storm pines that rise beside these simple wooden homes with darkened logs, and steep, somewhat frost-worn roofs. You can see it, the frost doesn't hit as hard here as it does in Aska. In the distance, you can see blooms that seem far too bright for the season. There's vines overtaking fences, and there's a lot of golden dust in the air. In Virginia, we call that the pollination. The road winds down the foothills, and before you, the village stretches across a patchwork, of fields and stone paths. There's fir trees, that sway gently in the breeze. Their branches are really heavy, heavier than they should be. And there's wild vines. They're just kind of almost strangle the trees. If you ever seen ivy or something overgrow a bush or vines grow up a tree, it's kind of like that. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And it seems like these fields that once might have been orderly with these low, stone walls, they are just like bristle with this unruly growth. And there seems to be fewer bird songs than you would expect. It's a little more still than you expect it to be. And as you make your way into the town, you can see they have set up for the holiday, which is Midsummer, if I remember that right, which is a summer holiday. But it doesn't, people don't seem super happy. It's like, it doesn't, you would expect more happiness, more energy. It doesn't really, not much. There's kids playing though. You can hear kids playing, and they're doing their little games. There's just a small group of girls with like little flower crowns, and they're playing their little circle games, and you hear them go, "Sun warms the day, soil holds the way, water flows deep." Now they fall asleep. Plop. Basically, they play their own little ring around the rosy games while everybody else is trying to get ready. And as you guys kind of looking badass the way you're looking, different than most of the people here. A woman in her early 30s kind of approaches you guys with a hopeful and yet kind of anxious smile. She's like, she looks familiar. She looks a little bit like Astrid, kind of like around the eyes and around the nose. And her like kind of sun-kissed hair is just like tied back really simply, and her hands are kind of stained with soil. And she says, "Thank you for coming. You guys look just like my mom described. We depend on this harvest, and Aska and the other villages depend on this harvest. Something gone terribly wrong this year. The land is more alive. Not as it should be, though. It's like growing wild. It's like suffocating the crops. That pollen in the sky makes it really hard to breathe for some people. And I think we really need your help, because I know you helped with the tree." and the Yule Cat, which I didn't. Mm, mm. However, yes, yes, yes. Welcome, 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 welcome. I'm Secret. Should have probably started with that. She's definitely a little nervous.
Um, Aoife kind of gives a warm smile and will say, "It is no worries, Secret. Friend of we're friends with your mother, and thus friends with you."
I, I, that makes me happy. Um, I have I have tried myself to, but I'm not really sure what's going on. But I have talked to Tova. Tova is a farmer here. She's really connected. She has the best harvest, so her her fields just she's really connected to nature, and I have let her know that hopefully you will come and help. So um, are you guys tired, or would you like me to take you to Tova?
Oh, we can help, right? Um,
Yeah,
Mhm.
certainly.
All right. So she says, "All right, all right, all right. Then follow me." And she walks in front of you, and she's kind of lean and wiry. And you get the way she walks. It seems like she's normally more confident, and you've seen that in her mother. That this just confident carrying. And she kind of wears a simple green tunic, with like a belt, and you can see there's kind of soil and dirt stains on her knees. So she definitely has worked in some kind of garden today. And she walks you just a little bit out of town, and there's a small cottage with different bigger fields around it. There's the wheat that's just seems way too heavy. It's like that grain is just like it's sodden, like it's too heavy. But in front of Tova's house, she seems to have a small garden that's kind of mixed with like fruit trees and fruit bushes and herbs. And as you walk up to it, you see that she's actually in her garden, just like tending to the plants. And you can see that she must have put a lot of work into it, because there's no weeds, there's nothing overgrown. There's that overgrowth ends at that fence to her yard. She's like, absolutely not. And as she kind of comes up, she's a tall woman. She got broad shoulders and the strength of a life spent working the land. She got like thick brown hair streaked with silver. She looks like she's in her early 40s, and human. And you can definitely see, as she like brushes off the dirt and slowly comes closer to you guys. She has callous, kind of dirty hands. There's dirt underneath her fingernails. She wears like these sturdy work clothes. Very good, like these sturdy work clothes. Already earth toned, but even washed and patched over and over, especially in the knees and elbows. And she got an apron on too, where she has like, her little tools in it. And despite, she just looks like, the salt of the earth, very practical, she kind of moves graceful. And her eyes are a deep, quiet green as she walks up and comes up and wipes her hand one more time and offers it to you guys, and introduces herself and says, "My name is Tova. You must be Secret's friends."
Lork just gives a very, very awkward bow, despite the fact that they don't realize that she held out her hand at first and then shakes her hand out of formality, I guess.
Yeah, her hands are warm and strong. You can definitely feel all the calluses on her hands, and just like, well met, well met. Um, you are here to help.
Yes,
Yes,
I'm Lark.
Aoife,
Ifa,
I'm Katla.
very nice to meet you. And she kind of takes a deep breath and says, "Oh, let's go inside. Let's get something to drink. I think I have some cool tea sitting in the larder. And let's talk about this mess. So, and as you guys walk in, what would um, people watching you guys see? So, as Ify, I will learn that on some point I will say it right. What would like if a secret is behind? What would she see? What does your character look like as you guys enter this kind of humble but well tended cottage?
I can go first. So Aoife has jet black hair, very long and in light waves. She probably has it um, partially pulled back into a braid with the kind of like a half up, half down, wearing a black cloak that seems to almost like swirl with this intense magic. She has alabaster skin with bright red lips. She's always wearing this delicate black dress that, for the times that this world gets so cold, uh, her dress never changes. It's almost as though sometimes the cold doesn't affect her the same way it affects others. But she always is armed with a sly grin, one that you don't necessarily know is a good deal or bad, but one that you want to take her hand anyway.
Definitely an interesting way to walk into this summery farming village. Awesome. Um, Describe us what Katla looks like, Sophia.
So Katla has like ash gray skin and blue hair. Um, I imagine she's also kind of thin and wiry and just slightly on the tall side. Wearing some studded leather armor, confidently carrying her short sword on her hip.
All right. And Lark.
So, Lark is. What time of day is it, actually? This is vaguely
Yeah,
important.
mid morning, I would say. It's getting warmer, but it's not the middle of the hot time yet.
So, if it's mid morning, Lark's features have dulled slightly. Initially, they, for instance, towards the times of day when it would be just morning or dawn, their hair catches starlight like frost, and their eyes will glow faintly in the moonlight. Now, their hair is a much closer to a duller ashen brown as opposed to the strange greens and purples that sometimes show up in it. Um, their skin tone seems just off slightly and occasionally has shades of green, indigo, and violet, and a soft blue, but you don't see that as much at this point in the day. So the only thing that seems to remain pretty constant is they have a strange, like, lavender hue at the ends of their ears that is not as bright, but a little too noticeable to be easily dismissed when their long hair is pulled back, which it often is.
All right. So as the group makes its way in, and you guys just sit down in the kitchen, everything's used and heavy and kind of like, but deeply cleaned. It's like, but you can see, and Tova lives by herself. Um, it's not set up for a family, and she serves you guys some tea and then sits down. And as she looks out through the window and into the field, she says, You think the old gods themselves had blessed us? I mean, the way things started growing after spring was kind of late. I mean, winter ran a little long this year. First the rains came, and then the sun, and then it was just stronger than we felt in years. And every root woke up like it'd been sleeping too long. And then she kind of like just gestures out to the fields, and she says, "They didn't stop. Vines are crawling over the fences. Fruit rots before it's ripe. Flowers we've never planted are choking out the grain. Everything is too wet. The ponds are high. The streams are higher in water than they should be. Even the bees kind of seems lost. And then there's all of the extra pollen, and it doesn't taste like our normal pollen. It's not. It doesn't feel like it's normally natural around here, even though, who says what's natural? That's just a stupid concept anyways. But it's just not like it used to be. And then she looks at her trees and kind of, it's not just the crops either. Some of the goats won't go near the creek. Maybe it's because the water's going too high, and I don't know. The orchard kind of grove, it hums like it's got a storm caught in its branches. Kind of like there's tension in my trees. And some of the folk in town, they're scared. They don't want to say it out loud. Well, I think there's some old magic in it, the kind from the stories. The kind no hoe or axe can fix. I mean, I can barely keep up with keeping it out of my yard, and I don't know what's all behind it. But I know something's out of balance. So when I talked to Secret and she told me about you guys, and she looks at each one of you in the eye in turn and says, and I think we need help to set this right. And I hope you guys can help.
Lark immediately awkwardly just goes, "Sure, right, we can help, I think."
I mean, Secret told me, or read me the letter that her mother wrote, and how you helped the tree and made sure that spring came. So I was hoping that you could help us too.
There's always truth to stories, in my experience, and the water source definitely seems like a great place to start, especially if animals are avoiding it for whatever reason.
Yeah, we have a couple of places that seem a little overzealous, I would say, in how they are growing. But if you just want to see, maybe I can just take you to a place. I mean, I'm best with like soil, the earth beneath my feet. So there's like one place where like the fields are like kind of the worst off. I mean, if it has something to do with the soil, then I think I know where we could start looking. There's just a low hill that's like just beyond the ridge, and she kind of points over to the west, and she says, "The fields there are the worst off. It's like it's kind of churned up, it's torn and cracked, it's wetter than it should be, like it can't hold any more water. It's like saturated. So and some of the old stories say that there's spirits that are tied to all kinds of nature, and then you guys had spirits tied to a tree. So maybe there is a spirit, there are spirits, or there's no spirits. Whatever it is, there might be magic here. All right, let's finish our tea. And she like chucks it down. She says, and then follow me. I'll take you there.
Lark just looks at the other two and shrugs and follows.
Yeah, Katla will, finish her tea and then follow.
Aoife follows behind, but she definitely is slow to get up from her chair, as they have been. From what you described of the map, they've been traveling for quite a while, and not necessarily the best terrain. So I think she's starting to feel a little bit. She's still keeping up just fine, but she's definitely using her staff that
Yeah.
is her primary weapon to help get her along.
Yeah. So, and as you guys just walk for a little bit, it's like, roll me some nature or perception checks to see what you notice around you guys.
Oh, right, dice exist.
Yes, D10s. This is a D10 based system. If you have a point in perception or nature, you can add the related attribute to it, which would be probably mental. We'll have the little thingy next to us that just says M, S, or P, but you can only add your modifier if you are trained in the skill.
Oh no,
I
Lark
got a
is
4.
You got a 4? Right, what did Lark roll?
a 3.
Oh no, you are so distracted.
Lark got distracted by. I don't know what it is, but they are distracted by something.
How about Cutler? What did you roll?
A 19.
On a D10?
It's 2d10, right? Or
It's
is it and
1d10.
1d10?
1d10.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's
The,
on
the
me.
2d10 is when you have Hex or Bane. Hex or Bane is like advantage and disadvantage, which
Okay.
in my brain, Hex is still a bad thing, but in this system, Hex is a good thing. So if you have like Hex and perception or something, you would get to roll 2 and pick the highest.
Okay. Now I understand. All right. Then a 6.
A 6. Did you add your modifier to it? If you have the skill.
I do not have the skill. I do not.
All right, but that's good. So Lark, you're very distracted. There is just a lot going on here in nature that, more than it should be. So your head kind of like, you're trying to get a feel for what's going on, and right now it's a little overwhelming. For which it's hot, you tired. It's plans. Yes, there's a lot of plans. You know a lot of plans, but you really don't give a hawk right now. You're tired. So you're not quite paying as much attention. You're just wanting to get to where they're trying to get you. Uh, but Katla, you notice that there's some burned patches of grass, like scorched almost from the sun being too hot. No, Windows. I do not want Windows 11 right now. We are busy. It just popped me up. Would you like? No, we don't. No, we don't. Um, so you noticed, there's places where it seems like the ground got almost burned from too much sun. Like, how grass gets crunchy when there's days and days of sun and no water. But there's others where there's just like the ground is really wet and there's just really thick roots, like almost curled around each other, and things are growing way too strong. And you do notice that the air is really heavy with that pollen that Tova was talking about, that almost makes it kind of hard to breathe. Like the air is moist with this pollen, but there's the scorched places on some of the ground. Does not make a lot of sense yet. Yet. So you guys make your way closer. You are asking any questions, or are we just hanging out?
Um, as far so the area has been burned. I think Aoife's gonna try and put her feelers out to see if there's any magical resonance of like why the area was burned. Like, is it something like they were trying to protect something? Because fire can be cleansing in itself. And
No,
I think she's
it's not like a burn mark. It's like when the sun's too hot,
oh, okay.
like scorched. Not like you burned a fire, but like
Gotcha.
if you would step out of your house in the summer and the grass is crunchy from the sun being too hot and there wasn't enough water, but you know that in other places the ground is way too wet, so it makes no sense to have this scorched dry patches,
Mhm.
but not the. But you can still touch it and do your arcane.
Yeah, I think she's gonna like touch it because like of why would one certain spot get so
Yeah.
much kind of a thing? Like, is there something directing it? Um, oh my goodness. I just rolled a one on that die. So this is
Uh,
going to dice jail.
that one is going to dice jail. So, as you try and like touch the round, it's like you're just you're just achy, and it almost you cannot really tell. It feels out of balance, but that is about everything that you can you can tell at the moment. You might have to try again later.
Yeah, I think it's hard for her to sense what is and isn't in balance when she does not feel in balance herself.
Yep.
I mean, you said that there's possibly something going on with spirits, and Lark hears things. So possibly they're just way too distracted by everything else. I can try to make I don't know. The only thing I can think I can do is another nature roll, but I already failed the first one, so I feel like that would ride.
What you could do is try a perception or intuition or intuit check to see if you can feel or see more. Not being focused on what you know about nature, but about what you can see and what you can know in your gut.
I know I'm better at perception, but I think intuit makes more sense if
Okay.
I'm trying to get a gut feeling and not sure what spirits are involved. But also means I don't get a bonus. Where's my rolling thing? Wow, that's a 4. I'm just
That's okay. So as you're walking, and nature is a little overwhelming because everything's kind of out of whack, and you can tell, and you're trying to focus on more what it feels like. It definitely almost feels like a seesaw, like things are like flip flopping, but you can almost hear words, impressions, and it's warmth. And it's like she tends the sun, warm her hand, and then it's loamy. He shapes the soil, steady the land, and then suddenly it feels cool. She carries the water's gentle sweep. Together they sigh and softly sleep. And it kind of reminds you a little bit about the game that the kids played.
if Lark is feeling warm and then cold, though, they're also just kind of yanking on the probably the like more open neck of their tunic because they're mostly I mean, they're not just an archer, but that's their main profession is hunting or using a longbow or a warbow. So they're mostly dressed in leathers and things like that. They're just kind of picking at clothing and looking very uncomfortable.
Yeah, so for the people from the outside, you would have kind of seen her, warm, then kind of like, and then just a little shiver, I would think, from the outside. And Tova, has been just making remarks here. They're growing that there. Um, they're growing that there. Um, and then she starts talking about um, what you guys did at the tree, and that she had heard stories about the ancient Vetir before, and how you guys woke them up. For the ones who weren't here last time, the tree. It's like most of the Vetir, the ancient guardians, um, where the ancestry, the Vetir, which Lark and Cutler are, basically comes from. But these ancient ones, most of them have been sleeping, and the tree was helping to keep the area warm and always make sure that spring was coming and that the area was fertile and livable. And it started frosting over, and the group had to help uh, wake up the Vetir and save the tree, which is why spring was late. I know not everybody was here. It's been a while since we played that one. So now that you guys are here, and she's like, asking small questions about it, and then saying, yeah, there is, I mean, there are stories about the Vetir, there's stories that they tell around here too. I just don't remember much about them, We're just busy. We're just busy.
Did it did Lark hear that? Like Lark heard those words?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah,
think
they would have heard Tova talking to everybody as they're walking.
Oh no, I meant the rhyme.
Yeah, yes.
I think Lark is just quietly repeating that whole she tends the sun warm in her hand, she shapes the soil. Like Lark is just slowly, softly repeating that and not paying attention.
All right.
Aoife, especially from last time, when she paired up with Lark, noticing that they feel like that strange like shiver and then the warmth of the sun from them. Eva will cue into the nursery rhyme that they're repeating, and the cogs are starting to turn as we're walking to the next location for sure.
Yeah.
But definitely, Aoife is keeping an eye on Lark to make sure that they are doing okay. Uh, Similarly to the last time.
All right. So, before we get your Katla, would you like to roll some lore and see if maybe you remember something?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask.
I had a
Would,
feeling.
would the fact that Lark is whispering the nursery rhyme maybe help out?
Yeah, roll it as a hex. I mean, you heard the kids, you heard Tova talk about it. Lark, you guys have been, a group. You're a whole bunch of pretty badass, adventurers, and depending on who's where, it's like, you guys been banding up together in different combinations. So yeah, you definitely know if Lark's repeating something like that, they probably heard it, or there's something going on.
So
And
Hex is advantage, right?
That's right. So you get to roll 2d10 and pick the highest.
okay.
plus your modifier because you're a lore keeper. So I'm quite sure you're proficient.
Okay, rolled a 9 on the dice, and then just to make sure I'm understanding, I will catch on. Do I add the stat and the value, or just the value?
Just a plus. The it's like
Okay.
basically if you have if it's connected to mental or spiritual, you take the number that's in spiritual and you add it to it. But if you're not trained or skilled, you're not trained in the skill, you don't get to add the modifier. So if it's connected to spiritual, your spirit is 2 plus 2. You know, if
Okay, so then I have an 11.
Oh yeah. So as you mulling it over, you think about the stories, and you think about the stories of the three Vetir sisters, and then you think about and you think, yeah, there's stories about Vetirs that are related to this. There's Vetirs that would be connected to the soil or the water or even the rain, or not really the harvest, but like the soil or different trees, you know, kind of like that. And as you're mulling this over, what kind of Vetir element did you decide to be? Because Lark was it Twilight?
Lark is liminal. Lark
Liminal.
is weird. I think we went over
Yeah.
they would technically be considered a day, but their features change based on the time of day. That's why it's different now than it was earlier this morning.
Yeah.
Ash.
Okay. So thinking, yeah, you heard these stories before, and there's actually a kind of a poem that reminds you of what Lark was saying, and it was part of a story about different Vetirs, and there was like multiple poems about these different groups. And you remember there was one that was about the three sisters, and there was one that went, one danced in light with golden hair, one sowed the earth with endless care, one shaped the stream with gentle hand, and watched the roots rise through the land. When silence came, they fell to rest. The land still held them in its chest. It was just like a collection of poems about different Vetirs, and you remember that was in there.
Okay. So from this poem, I think I can kind of gather that these are sort of nature related Vatir, correct?
Mm-hmm. Most of the Vetir are elements related. And the ancient one think they are like the basic strong elementals, and from that the ancestry of the Vetir now comes. So they would be stronger. When if you think about it now, you are more humanoid but elemental. Think about as the Vetir as even more elemental. If you think in D&D terms, think Genasi and Ifrit, that kind of ancestry. So, you know, there might now be Vetir of moss or of the rain, of the ocean, from the smallest to the biggest. And then some of the Vetir, the ancient Vetir, were the same. They were just stronger. Their connection was stronger, and they were more elemental than people, basically. I mean, they're still people, but they were more forces of nature, a little bit more.
Okay. I don't think she knows what this means yet, but she's like taking, tally of it in her head, and then like that, it seems like a piece of the puzzle, but she hasn't quite figured out what it means yet.
All right. You going to share that with the others, or are you going to keep it in your pocket for now?
Hmm. Yeah, you know what? She will share it with the others. She'll share the pulp with the others. Try to be a good
Lark
teammate.
just goes, huh? What?
uh, Mary, roll me some intuition or spellcasting arcana, something like that, because I am thinking you're probably still trying to feel what's going on.
Yes, and then I'm just double checking because I think I get a hex with into it. Yeah, I have a hex, but I have no value, so let's try it. We'll see. So I think she's trying to intuit at this point. And okay, that's way better. So that is a natural 9, no modifier.
All right. So as you're walking and you're kind of using your intuition and kind of feeling and trying to just and you hear Lark with the rhyme, and then Katla shares the poem, and you kind of notice that every time one of these things is spoken, things seems to calm a little. But the moment they stop, it kind of goes back to being chaotic and exuberant, and it doesn't feel malicious. It just feels big and a little chaotic, almost like when children play. But yeah,
Aoife will kind of like stop in her tracks for a minute, and look to Katla and say, "Say it one more time."
right. Uh, and then it is: one danced in light with golden hair, one sowed the earth with endless care, one shaped the stream with gentle hand, and watched the roots rise through the land. When silence came, they fell to rest. The land still held them in its chest.
And I think after like again just trying to make sure that what she felt was real, and it happening again, I think she will say, um, I know it may sound strange, but I think they're listening. When we talked about it, there was a sense of calm. And when silence fell, it all felt energized again. If the poem, there's truth with it, the land still held them in its chest, that's past tense. Maybe, I don't know if they're trying to get out, if they've been locked again. I feel like we need to know more about this folklore.
So, as you know, and Tova is listening, and she looks like she's trying to figure this out. She's also like thinking. You can tell that she's thinking and trying to remember a thing, and then she's like, we're about here, and you guys come like over like a little bump. It's not even a hill, and there's just an area where the soil is really dark and wet, and there's just almost think brambles, but no thorns. It just kind of like a big blackberry hedge. It is all kind of connected. There's some way to get through, but it is super overgrown. And by the way that you look at it, especially Lark would be able to tell this should not have been able to grow this big or so connected so fast, especially with how cold it gets in this area.
I think distracted by Eva, Lark is just kind of like, oh, everything's chattering today. And looks over and just kind of looks surprised at the bush and goes, oh, where did you come from? Like
and
like how you talk to
yep.
someone.
And as you do that, you kind of stop before this thing and you say, "Where do you come from?" Suddenly, it's kind of the vines kind of start to coil and to twist, and there's a plant, and it's kind of like twists, and it's like there's like a kind of almost grotesque bloom. Its petals are like jagged and curling like claws, glistening with some dew that shouldn't be there this late in the day. Um, and it has like really thick roots. They're really like thick and knotted and swollen, and they're moving. They're kind of pulsing, and it kind of almost looks like veins. There's veins underneath that kind of glow a little bit. To Lark, you guys wouldn't see that, but to Lark, it's almost like, there's like, uh, and it smells like wet earth and loam, like when you're stepping outside after the rain and somebody had turned over their yard before. Um, and it's beautiful, but it's also dangerous, and it should not be moving. And with that, you can roll me some initiative.
Lark immediately, I didn't do it.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Initiative is D10 plus your mental modifier.
That was going to be my next question. Thank you.
It is also, if you have the character keeper open, if you scroll down a little bit, it has all the little hints at the bottom so that I also don't forget.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Let's see.
I rolled a 9.
Okay, good.
I got an 8.
All right.
I
Caldry?
got a 5.
All right, so it's Mary, Katla, the bloom, the twisted bloom, and Caldry. All right, which means, Mary, you go first.
Okay. So first action, I gotta remember. Yeah, might as well. So it is like a vine-like creature.
Yes.
She like shing like slings out her staff as a giant scythe blade just flies out from it. And she prepares to attack. I don't think she's going to use any magic yet. Because she's unsure of how it will react. And she really doesn't want to anger whatever's controlling it. So hopefully the blade will be better than any of her shadow magic. So D10 for attack?
Yes.
All right.
D10 plus your expertise, which would be melee, martial.
So my expertise is a +2, and I rolled a natural 9, so that is an 11.
Oh, very, very nice. Yes, you absolutely hit. The damage roll is your weapon die, which should be a D4 or a D6, multiplied by the related attribute modifier.
All right.
Which would be physical, I guess.
So I rolled a 4 on the D4, and
Okay.
then multiplied by 2, that would be 8 points of damage.
All right. So as you swing your what's basically a scythe, and you see you had seen this bloom, this kind of I don't want to say it's a monster because it's not really a monster. It's just a big old growth. And you can feel that it has some dangerous energy like radiating, and from it, kind of a little hungry, it seems. It has like bigger than normal, and it's kind of, it's like a bundle of roots, stems, and pulsing glowing seed pods with like a bloom in the middle, basically. It's But you don't feel malice, because you would feel the malice. It's just aggression and confusion, and you kind of just chop at some of these roots and vines, and you do 8 damage to it, and like part of it like falls to the side. And if Lark is looking, she will definitely see a little bit of what she had seen underneath, kind of like poof away, like some of the energy left.
And then with my second action, I'm going to cast Dragon Hide on myself.
Okay.
So I get a little bit of extra armor now that I've probably angered this creature.
All right. Before Katla goes, let me. All right. After you do that, it seems like there's like a pulsing coming from the middle of this root cluster, and suddenly there's like a burst of water just coming from the ground close to it, and there's just a spot of terrain next to it that is just really swampy, and it's getting swampier by the minute, by the second. Like there's water coming up. And with that, it's Cutler's turn. Katla? Katla? I will learn names one day.
Also, Lark's pronouns are they, them.
I will learn that too. I have been practicing. I've been practicing A, M, and air too.
Yes, I love you. I just realized I was making heart hands, but I'm not on screen, so you can't see.
It's still sometimes my German brain still gets confused because it's all the when everything is male and female in the German language. Aside from girl has the it pronouns. Still makes me mad. Das Mädchen. So yeah, whatever. Katla's turn to attack or do something.
She will take out her short sword and rush forward and take a swing at some of these vines.
All right. Roll me the attack.
Okay. Oof, that is a 3.
All right. So you lash out with your sword. But you kind of don't really hit it with the sharp side. You almost hit it with the flat. And the vines are kind of coming in the direction with there's some thorns on them and stuff. And you are able to smack it aside and probably make it harder for that to hit the next person. But you don't really do any damage with that attack. But you have 2 actions. And in the system, which is way cool, these 2 actions can also be 2 spells. Not like in other games where you can't do that. But you have 2 actions per battle round.
Yeah, so see if it's gonna help or not, but I will cast Mind Shield on I don't know who wants it.
What does it do? Remind everybody what it does.
Mind Shield protects the mind of one creature you can see. Basically, you get a hex roll bonus on all mental saves for 1 hour.
Oh, nice. Probably want to give that to Lark.
Okay, there we go.
I love it when the GM says, "Oh yeah, by the way."
I mean, things are a little overwhelming right now, so we might want to do that just in case.
Yeah, I
I
will
love it
cast.
When you give me ideas, right?
Yep.
I'll cast Mind Shield on Lark then.
What do you think that looks like when you do that?
Whew, I did not have a chance to really think about this, but I imagine that any spell she casts, she takes like a small amount of ash from a pouch, and like in this case, we'll say she like rubs it between her fingers, and then sort of blows some of it in the direction of Lark, and that's how she casts it.
And I think, and what would be pretty cool is that I think that if I remember right, Lark has a tattoo behind her ear that's only visible to people who can see spirits. And I'm thinking it actually, the little ash mark settles around that area. And kind of almost like you put your fingerprint right where the mark is. So
the circular tattoo, like
it's like that tattoo that kind of glows when
Yes.
when you see spirits, but only other people who can see spirits can see the tattoo on you. I remember that from the very first game that we had. So if Katla gives you, you know, a mental shield, I'm thinking that would be the perfect spot for her to put it on Lark.
Thank
think.
you.
So
And that's a bonus to a
hex
bonus
to all mental saves for the next hour.
hex to mental saves.
So
Okay,
get
thank you.
advantage.
Oh wow.
All right. So the water in the one spot is kind of still going. It's like one spot that is to the right of the monster is turning really swampy. So if you guys would step in that and try to get out of the way, or you would have a harder time escaping from that yuckiness. Might lose a boot. Okay, and then it is the Twisted Bloom's turn. The Twisted Bloom actually, you know it's coming, Mary. You know it's coming. You're the only one who heard it. One of the vines that Katla tried to hit aside is trying to lash out with its thorns. So it is going to roll at Bane. Oh, which is good because I rolled a 4 and an 8. So it lashes and kind of tries and hits Aoife, but you were able to duck, and it kind of goes over. I'm thinking maybe one of the thorns might like slide through your hair, a little bit, but it doesn't hurt you. And then it actually because Katla is in melee range, one of these seed pots like bursts open. And roll me a physical save to see if you can get out of the way so that you don't get hit in the face with all of the pollen that bursts out of these seed pods. Which is a D10 with your physical modifier.
The worst kind of attack, allergies.
Yes, and there's no Benadryl in this world. I mean, if I can probably make something up that's close to Benadryl, but not while we're fighting.
I can't do two places at once. Unfortunately.
All right. What'd you roll, Katla?
11.
11. All right. So this seed pod kind of almost pulsates, and then it pops open and it spits this really strong yellow pollen straight at you, and you're just able to throw yourself out of the way. And even though you only catch like a little bit of it, it still makes you like cough, and it's like, yeah, that would have been bad. Okay, and that was its 2 actions, which means it's Lark's turn.
Lark is going to. I don't know that there's any real great place to hit this thing with a bow.
I mean, it does have the bloom, but I'm not quite sure if it would make a difference where you hit it. Because
That's
it doesn't
fair.
really have a head or eyes or anything, you know?
I think being a little shaken, we're not necessarily going to make the best choices. We're going to stay in character for this. Lark is going to draw the hammer because that is the hammers are a great solution to lots of things.
Absolutely. Smash it all.
We're going to Lark is going to kind of try to run and slide forward, and I want to take since this is closer to a battle hammer than it is a actual like working or wood carpentry hammer. I'm going to take the pick end of the hammer and try to hit there's like a center mass, right?
Yeah, it's more tangled in one area where, you know, some of the vines are then coming and attacking, and the bloom is also in that area.
We're going to try to hit that first. And I'm going to remember to roll a d10.
And now we're also used to rolling d20s.
Oh. I rolled a 1.
Oh no.
I mean, my melee is +3, but I rolled a 1.
But you know what? That's fine. +3, that's a 4, because, you know, that's okay. So I would think, you know, you just swing straight up at the middle. You're not even really aiming at much. And I'm thinking your strike kind of lands against like that thick bark-like kind of stem in the middle. And it sounds kind of like a sharp crack. It doesn't really break open, but you do see that, you know, the energy that you can see underneath it, it kind of flares brightly for a moment, and then it goes back to the normal thing. um Roll me some perception, everybody who's looking. If you're paying attention to what she's doing, feel free to.
They.
Yeah, I'd be paying attention.
Right. So yeah, Lark, they can definitely roll perception too, because they're looking right at it.
Oh, okay. A 6 is much better than.
All right. What do you roll?
I got a 9.
All right.
Perception is mental. I got a 6.
All right. So for Katla and Aoife, you would look at it, and you could actually see that it kind of withdraws a little bit from Lark, like it didn't withdraw from you guys when you attacked. It doesn't really go back. It just seems to just, you know, try and keep a little bit of more distance from Lark. For Lark, they would look at this thing, and at the pulsing underneath that only they can see, and it reminds them of what was inside the foxes in Aska. It's not the same color. it's not quite the same. It doesn't, doesn't feel like frost. But the energy kind of reminds Lark of what they saw when they were going, trying to rescue the kids from the Yule Cat, and they found that group of foxes that attacked them.
I am rolling horribly, but I'm going to ask to do a thing that I probably am very bad at.
Do it.
Do it.
You never know.
I think it's probably either a spiritual or an intuit roll if I want to try to figure out where where this actual energy is flowing from.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what would I roll if I wanted to pinpoint that as my next action so that I could relay that information to Katla and Aoife?
That's probably more intuition or like spellcasting arcana. Well, if Aoife would do it, it would be like arcana or spellcasting because Aoife would look more from where's the magic coming from. But I'm thinking for Lark, it would be more like the intuition of where do I feel like the energy is coming from, because it's not something you can perceive. You cannot look at and see, but you can definitely probably feel.
Yeah. Or at the very least, even if I can see it, I can't make sense of it the same way Aoife would.
Yeah.
Way too overwhelming. Where I do not have Intuit trained, so it's a straight up just D10 roll,
It's
right?
a straight up just D10, yes.
And we rolled a 6,
right.
which is better than I have been rolling.
So you kind of reach out with, your inner self to try and feel yourself into where is this coming from. And you feel kind of confusion. Also a drive of to grow, to feed the land, to just do it and do it fast and make sure that we're doing this. And it seems that to you, it doesn't come from anywhere else than like from the ground. Like this thing is trying to do what it's supposed to do. It is trying to grow. It is trying to fulfill its purpose, basically.
But it's doing it too fast and too hungrily, and
yes,
it's out of sync. It's out of cycle.
Yeah, it's like taking too much, overtaking where it's not supposed to be, strangling, the crops, all of that. It might have already lashed out at some animals, which might be why the goats don't want to go these places, because it is trying to do what it's supposed to do. And it's not a very smart plant. It doesn't really have a brain or anything. It just has this one purpose. And it's trying to do that. And it seemed like you guys were getting in the way of that.
So kind of interpreting this as it's trying to speed up the cycle of life and death way too quickly, essentially.
It's just doing it with too much force, with too much passion. There's probably a word that I cannot think of. That is kind of what you feel. But as you because you rolled a 6, as you're doing that, also you kind of feel this energy seeping around the edges. And go ahead and roll me a mental save. Which you got heck.
Sophia had it right away.
Yeah, as you're trying to feel yourself into this, the feeling of this exuberance is trying to feel you back, basically. You're trying to feel it and it's seeping in, trying to affect you.
I cannot roll over a 6.
Remember, you rolled twice?
I rolled twice. I rolled a 2 and a 5, and my mental is 1. So like I
Right.
said, I cannot roll over a 6. I think that's been my highest roll all game.
We're going to start threatening those dice with putting them in the yard when it's raining or something. So with the 6,
it's fine. It's in character.
Yeah, I am thinking that as you're trying to feel this, you also start feeling a little hibbledy, a little hyperactive, a little, you just want to go, you want to do, you need to do something, So it didn't really smack you in the face, but you can feel around the edges that you are just feeling a little bit more motivated, a little bit more energized, maybe a little bit more impulsive. And with that, we're going to go back to Mary. Is there something that Lark would like to share with the others before we do that, though? Sorry, I forgot about that. You said you were going to share, or that Lark was going to share with the others.
I don't think this is going to make a lot of sense, but I think Lark just kind of yells back a little bit of a frantic edge to their voice. It's coming from the ground, and is going to reach out and just grab at one of the vines in the center mass, because we're going to make bad decisions today.
All right. Describe how that actually looks.
So Lark yells that without looking back at the others, hammer in one hand, and just very quickly and without paying attention reaches for one of the larger vines that they can kind of try to wrap a hand around to pull at, to get at the energy that they felt before in the middle of that mass, and just not even thinking what the consequences are going to be, just doing it.
So by grabbing it, what is Lark's plan?
That Lark doesn't have a plan. Lark is being impulsive.
I'm just going to touch this. I'm just going to grab hold of it. All right,
yes,
but you know
there
what?
is no plan.
I am actually thinking this would be the perfect time to take a break. So I am actually thinking, that in that moment where Eva and Cutler are probably like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you grabbing this thing? I'm thinking that would be a good time for us to take about a 10-15 minute break so that we can all, get something to drink, go to the bathroom, and you guys have time to donate, because we are fundraising today. We are fundraising for the Trans Justice Funding Project, the TGFP, and the links are always in chat. And it's at the very top of the chat. You just got to click on it, and you can read up on it and what they're doing. And we would absolutely appreciate if you donate. And yes, and I hope that I will see you guys after our break. If Hello and welcome back. Welcome to Nurse with Dice, where we're raising money for the Trans Justice Funding Project today by playing Vildheim, which is a D10 light Norse Gothic inspired TTRPG from Awfully Queer Heroes. My awesome players have already gotten themselves in the middle of the fight, but before we go back to exploring what happens, because Lark just grabbed a hold of that planned creature that they're having a fight with, we are actually having a giveaway. So if you would like to win a rule book of Valor, you type into the chat !Vildheim and join the raffle. Please do. I have played that game before and it is amazingly fun. So type it in. Type it now. All right, good. We stopped with Lark feeling very impulsive, grabbing into the middle of this pile of roots and thorns with a really kind of big old bloom in the middle. It's very overgrown, and just grabbed hold of like a stem. And with that, it is actually Aoife's turn. But before we do that, Aoife, roll me intuition.
All right. That the purple sparkle dice are coming in clutch now.
Yeah.
Apparently the other die shamed it. That's a 9.
It's like, I don't want to go in the yard all by myself.
Right?
And
then the other one was lower with the hex on intuition.
So as you have been keeping an eye on Lark, you have been keeping an eye on them, and in your brain, the little rhyme keeps playing. The sun warms today, soil holds the way, water flows deep, now they fall asleep. And Lark has said something that's very similar, but a little bit more in deep, and it also talks about these 3 things as separate beings. Someone's doing something, and this calms the chaos around you. And you just keep trying to make this connection that there seems to be 3 entities in these stories, and that telling the story in these 3 different ways that you have learned calms the chaos. And you're looking at a big pile of chaos in front of you, and your friend just put their arms straight into the big old pile. And now it's your turn.
I think with my first action, I'm going to start saying the rhyme and see if it has any effect on the creature.
All right. Like the short one or the longer one, doesn't matter.
Whichever one that Lark, different game. Lark has their hand in.
Right. So you know, the shorter one was what the kids were. There was the thing that, you know, the longer one that Katla.
Oh, sorry, you're not talking about the monsters. Oh, brain. Oh, okay. No, I'll do the longer one.
The one that Lark said.
The one that Lark said.
So you are feeling it, and you start saying, she tends the sun, warm in her hand. He shapes the soil, steady the land. She carries the waters, gentle sweep. Together they sigh and softly sleep. And you just keep repeating this, and you can feel the kind of unevenness and disorganization and chaos around you kind of calm down as you keep repeating it. And it seems like the tangles slow down, kind of in the same beat as you're performing it. And it seems like it calms down the creature. And it was probably in the process of lashing out against Lark. But the more you do it, the more it kind of falls together into itself, and just until it ends up in just a pile of roots, the bloom kind of buried in it in vines, and it stops. And now Lark is just standing, holding that one stem vine, while the rest is kind of in a pile, just resting. You can still feel the energy in it, but it's not um, awake right now.
Lark is very confused. He's just looking around like, what did
What just
who put
happened?
wait,
And with that,
did someone put the
we're
plant
out
to
of
bed?
combat.
Did someone put the plant to sleep?
Surprisingly, I think we did. But they
And,
all just overtired past their bedtime.
and behind you, you kind of feel Tova, and Tova was just, this was so quick that Tova was just standing there like, what? And uh, and Tova's just like, what? And then suddenly behind that cluster, like the earth kind of pulses and shift, and it kind of forms a figure cloaked in rich greens and browns, and his hands are shaped like roots, soils, vines, brick and stone, spilling to crops. That's kind of like that's what it looks like. His hands do all these things, and his face kind of starts to melt into place from the soil, and it's kind of, his brow is furrowed with concern, and he looks at Aoife and Lark, and then Katla, and then back at Aoife, and then just stares at her.
Hello?
Who are you? It kind of sounds grumbly, kind of earthy, kind of pebbly.
My name is Aoife. My friends are here. Katla and Lark.
Hmm. I am Iayar of the soil. And the soil must feed and grow strong and quickly. We have no time to waste. Are you wasting time for the soil? And he kind of like just waves his arm over like the pile of the vines.
Lark just looks over it. I think Katla is closest and just looks over with a like, what do we do? Like kind of expression.
So Lark and Katla, you will definitely feel this is a Vetir. This is one of the ancient Vetir. And he has introduced himself as Iryar, um, of the soil.
Looking to the others, I think Aoife will say, we don't mean any harm, and yes, we do want to help. Everything is out of sync. We need to find balance. And were you trapped down there?
We were sleeping. It was restful. It was quiet. But the soil must hold firm and grow strong. I give life, and the roots grow. The plants grow. And, as he says that, kind of around his feet that are kind of partially stuck in the ground, like in like a little pile of earth that he kind of rose up of. You can already see that in that soil that he kind of churned up, there's already little saplings, little seeds. Things are already growing in there.
Lark is still holding onto the vine. This is the my brain gone.
Yeah, Lark and Cutler, you both can feel like almost that the spirits of the Vetir is almost humming with a deep, steady rhythm that vibrates through the earth. Aoife kind of probably feels a little bit of that, but the Vetir would feel it even more. The strong connection that this Vetir has to the soil of the area.
Aoife will say, according to the rhyme, there are others. You help things grow, but if things grow overly wild, then there's no balance to keep things in check.
How do you know it's not in balance right now? There was a long cold. The spring was late, and we needed to grow.
It was late. You are correct, because another Vetir needed help. The tree that helps to bring forth the season was weakened, and it needed help, and that is why everything was late. And I can only imagine the feeling of needing to catch up with time.
I know. He looks thoughtful. He's still got this furrowed brow, which is interesting because every time it furrows more, there's like little crumples of dirt that kind of fall off and end up in that pile. And he says, it was cold. And then there came this blast of energy all at once. And I woke up and I knew we needed to grow. And I'm still doing that. We need to grow. I'm helping all of this grow.
You are, but now the goats, when they would normally have a place to drink, instead they only get thorns in themselves. There are places that need to grow, I do not deny that. But just like anything, there's time and place. And just because time is lost does not mean that you can't make up for it later.
He kind of looks thoughtful at you, and there's silence for a second.
Would you hurry all of this to ash? Do you want this? The faster this grows, the faster it dies, right?
And he almost looks troubled, like that had not entered his mind. And he repeats what he said before. The soil must hold firm and grow strong. I give life. But the roots twist too tight, too strong. Will you help me loosen the grip? Balance it?
Sure. Lark doesn't
Here we go.
qualify as a people person.
Lark is doing fantastic. Aoife will follow Lark's lead and say, whatever you need, we're here to help all of us. Lark is wonderful at being able to hear things that no one else can find, and Katla knows stories that have been so buried that when they're told, it's almost as though bells ring new knowledge.
So he kind of steps off of this little pile of dirt that he came off from, where it's kind of, and with each step, it's kind of like the soil kind of swirls a little and young plants kind of spring up. They're still growing too quick. Kind of like sometimes there's a little moss in between. And he steps a little closer and he says, the desire to grow is too strong. How do I calm the desire to grow? I'm not sure if I can do it.
Well, what I usually suggest when the world becomes too much for any of us is to share the load. You don't have to carry it all on your shoulders.
There are 3, right? Looking over at Katla, you said 3 before your story?
Yes, the story had 3 in it. One that danced in the light, one that sowed the earth, and one that shaped the stream. And then behind you guys, Tova was just quiet and kind of frozen. Tova just quietly actually starts to sing the poem that Katla had said. And it's kind of wobbly, she's kind of making it up as it goes. But it actually makes Iryar smile, and the earth around him seems to churn a little less. And then, when she's done, she stops and she said, "Was that what you were talking about, Lark? That's what Cutler said. Yes, it sounds like 3. I think I did. I didn't really think it was real, but I think I met a woman made from water." Before.
Where?
Oh, not too far from here, by the stream, when I was getting water from my garden. I wasn't sure if it was real, though. And as the longer she talks, it's like the soil starts swirling and kind of churning, and everything starts growing again. And Iryar kind of looks a little confused. Like you kind of turned over his world a little. It's like he just thought he was doing what he was supposed to be doing.
I think Aoife will kind of look to Iria and say, look, sometimes repeating phrases can be a way of centering oneself. And I think she's going to try and teach the ground grounding.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can absolutely, you can probably do that. And the short rhyme of the kids is probably perfect for that, actually, because it is so short, and it's just what, like 4 sentences, and they each have like just a couple of words. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. So as you teach the children's rhyme, they ring around the posy when they all fall down in the end asleep. Uh, his grumbly voice will then say, "Sun wants the day, sorrow holds the way, I hold the way. Water flows deep, now they fall asleep." And he just keeps repeating that, and it seems to slow down the growth around his feet. And he nods at you guys and just kind of melts into the ground. And Tova is just like, yeah, old magic. Old magic. And you guys are so calm. Like nothing have happened.
You get used to it.
Yeah, Tova doesn't look like she'll ever get used to it.
Aoife will kind of pat Tova on the shoulder and be like, so you said there was a woman of water. Seems like we need to go there next to get everything situated. At least the ground is settled for now, but I really don't know how long it will last until we can unite them all so they can not have to feel like the growth is a burden on only themselves.
Yeah. And Tova just looks at that pile of roots and kind of just like kicks it a little. And then okay, I think I think this place is now a little safer. And just says, all right, so it's it's not that far from my house. Normally I go right behind my house, but that day I just needed to walk. And so and she kind of starts walking as she's talking. So there's someone, I've been seeing her near the old spring, just part past the barley fields, the neighbors. Not often. I mean, only when I'm alone. When the fog clings low to the grass, kind of. And only lately. She wasn't there before, but I didn't make that connection. She doesn't. I wasn't sure if she was real because she doesn't speak, not with words. It's like she feels gentle, like rain before it falls. I know how it sounds, but I also wasn't sure if she was real because, there
no,
there
I'm
I
lonely.
am as a grown woman, here like a child dreaming in a wheat field, but she called me by my by my by my by my old name, and when I asked her to use my real name, she never did it again. It just makes you feel seen, as me as I've always been. I mean, yeah. Maybe she felt a little more restless the last time I saw her. Um, you know, the spring kind of is overflowing. So, but yeah, she makes me feel seen.
I'm great when I don't have to talk with people.
Yeah, I mean, I did the talking. I did the talking. But yeah, well,
So we should go say hi. Lark is very much on the like, okay, I think Lark is still feeling slightly impulsive on the like, okay, so we go.
Eva just flicks her scythe shut and will look at Katla and just say, well, do you know of any water calming rhymes as we move along this place? Uh, I don't know whether grounding water will work as well as grounding the ground.
Well, I'm sure given enough time I can think of something.
You could do lore and see if you remember one. Are you having a hairball right now, right next to me? Yeah, right now. So Laura, if you want to remember performance, I'm guessing I will. Let's do performance. If you want to make one up.
Yeah, we'll try lore. It is. She is the lore keeper.
Right.
Lore is spiritual, so that is an 8.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. I actually, good that I have another one prepared. All right. So, kind of as you guys walking to this old spring, as Kadla will is probably like under like mumbling and trying to make one up, and it comes out as 3 siblings dance the bloomin' rain, one burnt bright across the grain, Ron fed root and velvet blade, one gave drink, then gently stayed. We danced, we grew, we slept again. Sleep, we sleep, and dreamed through men.
Yeah,
So,
she will recite that for
Yep,
for everyone.
that's basically what you worked out, and you guys just basically hear Cutler, moving through different rhymes, and nope, nope, nope. There's nothing that rhymes with orange like that. Nope, nope. I mean, orange is sun, but no. And then you come to this very high little spring, and it's really pretty, and it's seems to be kind of serene, but the water is definitely higher than it is, and it kind of laps over the edges, and it's kind of like bubbling a little faster, I guess. And Tova just like kind of almost shyly kind of steps up and sits down in the wet grass right next to the spring, and just gently puts her calloused hands. They're still kind of stained with some soil. Just put it puts it gently into um, the the spring.
Laura is just going to forgot that probably they didn't put the hammer away, and is just going to look at that going like, yeah, no. Just put the hammer back on the little like hoop
Like,
on the belt. Like, this is.
okay, yeah, never mind. So, and as Tova is, just gently under her breath, kind of starts talking to the spring. What are you guys gonna do? Just yeah, you gonna go right next to Tova? Are you gonna stay back? Are you?
Aoife will look to Lark and Katla and just say, Lark, do you sense anything? Does this river location mean anything? I'm afraid that those studies are quite beyond me.
Well, lore is not my specialty, but I can see if I can listen. That I don't know magic the same way you do. I can't guarantee that I will be coherent in what I hear or
You let
say
us.
what they mean. I'll try something.
Yes, absolutely. Try.
And by that, I mean I'm going to continue rolling the things that I'm bad at because this is just, hey, that's how fun stuff happens in games.
Yeah. So, you're gonna try and do intuition again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That's a 7, so we're slowly going up in number.
The dice are warming up. All right. So, as you now have put away the hammer and you're just feeling out, like, around you, and you almost feel the water of the brook, like it's tickling your brain a little because the way it bubbles, and it seems happy and exuberant and just ready to go, ready to flow. You also feel fondness, and
Please
as
tell me the water spirit's gay. Please tell me the water spirit's gay.
have you met me? Just saying. I mean, as you feeling this, Tova, just has gently been speaking about her day and the garden, and suddenly there is like a shape that kind of glimmers as mist is rising on top of this little spring of almost like the little pond or the basin that's in front of it, and a female figure rises out and starts long-limbed, shifting like a reflection in ripples. Her hair kind of falls in waves, and it's like just it keeps moving. She's a little translucent, and she kind of walks on top of the water, being almost part of the water, and walks over to Tova, smiling. And Tova looks up and smiles back. Everybody's shocked. Like, there's a water person.
Yeah, I think
I think Lark's more like, hi, nice to meet you. And not reading the situation at all because Lark can't read people.
And you feel a little bit of surprise coming from the water vetier, and she told us right. She doesn't really speak in words. It's more ideas that you can feel, and it's a little surprised because she doesn't. It feels like she doesn't know you guys, but it's not a scared thing. It's more in a excited, new friends, golden retriever kind of feeling that you get. And Tova looks up and says, "These are my friends, Lark and Katla and Aoife. They wanted to come see you. I wasn't even sure if you were real." And you kind of feel this kind of almost like a chuckle, and then the spirit kind of, or the vetier, she kind of solidifies a little more as she steps onto the ground, and still her feet are still kind of sunken in, and you can see that the ground is really saturated where she's standing, and the air has gotten a little bit more moist, And also, you can actually kind of feel it in your throat. There seems to be more pollen that you're breathing into.
We were just finished talking to Iria, and it seems as though I feel your excitement, but Iria needs help, and it seems like you might need a little bit too.
And there's a surprise. And the water kind of that makes up her body kind of swirls a little faster. And you kind of feel this water brings life. You know, water brings growth. Water is needed.
Aoife will the humidity is probably starting to get to her, I think, and she'll kind of sit down on a sturdy rock in front of the water spirit, and I think she'll say, water gives us so much, but too much, and it can harm us. You dream through us, from what the legends say, correct?
And she kind of like tilts her head sideways and looks at Tova and looks at you, and you get the feeling of caring, of tending, of a little bit of loneliness. It seems like she kind of gives you back some of what she felt from Tova. Not sure, can't tell if that's new, if it's old. And it seems to be going like backwards, and then there's some confusion and some upset, and then calm again. And then, you know, she kind of just puts her hands on Tova's hand, and you can just feel the care. Like she's been not watching over, but like she understands, you know, Tova's feelings. And then she looks at you and she kind of nods a little. You know, she seems to understand, yes, I've been feeling through. But then you also, you know, still feel like these bubbling exuberance, and, you know, summer's here, spring is here, things got to grow. There's almost the ground around the spring is almost getting more saturated. You know, the kind of bubbling spring is actually running a little stronger, and you can just feel this excitement of helping things grow and helping more to care. And Tova just suddenly pops up the head and says, you've been helping my garden grow. And the water spirit just smiles, and there's the water is just coming up further. You know, it's all now squishy and saturated. If you would walk, it would make these funny noises that my daughter loves. And Tova's like surprised.
Lark is just looking over at Kat and Aoife like, okay, so going for a swim right now is a bad idea.
Maybe one to avoid at this point in time.
It might be a little too happy to flow, yeah. So, and as this the water vetier kind of you know, kind of touches Tova. Tova looks up and says, her name is Hevya. Hevya of the water. She feels worry. And you can kind of see that, you know, her form is kind of starting to flicker a little, and the expression is kind of goes from this really exuberant, almost, childlike excitement to being a little bit more adult and more worried. And, you can just, again, feel this. Water brings life. We need to bring more life. Everything needs to grow. The food needs to grow. People need to eat. People need to drink. The ground needs the water. The animals need the water. Water is life. I'm going to give them water. I'm going to give them life.
Putting a hand over the tattoo with the ash on it from Katla's spell earlier, Lark is going to just look over and be like, Katla, what was the... Are there words to slow things down?
Oh, the words she composed?
Yes.
Yes. I have them. And she will recite the poem that she had earlier composed.
If you want to read it, it's in our little chat.
I see that. I can. Hold on. 3 siblings danced the bloom and rain. One burned bright across the grain. One fed root and velvet blade. One gave drink, then gently stayed. We danced, we grew, we slept. Again, sleep, we sleep, and dream through men.
Yeah. And, as you start reciting that in the rhythm, she kind of starts to sway a little, and Tova hums a little, like under her breath, and it seems like everything seems to slow down. It's like the bubbling kind of slows down, and the water is not spreading any further, and she kind of just has this gentle smile on her face, and she kind of sits down in the water right around the edge, so that now you can only see like the upper part of her. She kind of melted into the thing, and you guys can feel it being a little calmer. And Tova gets up and says she feels happy and calm. And I think I know where the third one is. I think she showed me a spot where the grass is really, really dry, and there's a bush that has lost all the leaves when it should have new leaves. Yeah, I think I know where we should go. And then the water Vetir Hefia kind of reaches out to Tova, and Tova says, "I will be back. Now that I know that you're real, I will be back." And it's almost like they're having a conversation that you guys can hear. And she's like, "No, I am not annoyed that you called me by my old name. That's okay. No, my name is Tova now. Yes, I will be back."
Lark is just like, I will protect these little gays with my life.
And then she says, just repeat this poem, and I will be back. And then she's like, "All right, it's not that far." And you guys start moving off from the old spring that is not that far from Tova's house.
As we're walking, I think Aoife definitely has slowed her pace, but she will try and keep with Tova and ask, I I was wondering, When you, how were you affected by the winter?
The winter. Well, it had me stuck in the house longer. There was more snow. It was cold. The when spring was supposed to come and the planting was supposed to start, and I do have plants inside that I take care of, and you want to start the seeds, and I had to keep the seeds alive longer. It was scary and sad.
It's understandable. I don't, I was not in that place. I only was there to help bring spring, but it seems as though all of these creatures are triangulated around you. I'm wondering if I think they care about you, Tova.
Well, I think at least she does. I think at least she does. But I mean, from what they're saying, you guys saved the tree, and if you saved the tree and the tree came back to life, it was like a dam, and you guys just let the water go all at once. That must have been a lot. I mean, spring came fast. I mean,
Yes,
that
well,
must have.
hopefully we'll help fix that if we broke it. Oops.
I mean, it also, according to what I forgot his name, but that's okay. The soil vet here, he said they were sleeping and they woke up. I mean, they've been sleeping for so long, and there comes this bright burst of energy. I mean, them just and suddenly you have to make up for all this time and so hard. It must have been overwhelming for them.
Right, making up for time. Not going to think about that right now. So, Kat, do you happen to how good are you at making up poems on the fly? Because we don't know a lot about this one, do we?
Well, I can make them up, and I can perhaps there is something in lore, but yes, I can give making something up a try.
Even knowing a bit about each one has been focused on growth in one way or another. Ground was much more protective, wanting to make sure things are taken care of, but in a forceful way. The water is trying to take care of gently, but overbearing. And the sun, I feel like if we know the root of maybe what the way that they've taken on this burden, maybe it could help.
When you say sun, look, just kind of covers the spiral tattoo that would be behind their ear. Although I don't remember if Aoife can see it.
I'm not sure. I think if I could only see it while she's doing magic, and then Slider and Katla can see spirits like you do.
Seeing Lark like trying to cover that spot, I think Eva will take her cloak and hand it to Lark and just say, in case you want something, if that would make you more comfortable. Block some of the light. I've never been partial to it myself. give solace and comfort in times where things get overwhelming for me.
Thank you. Lark awkwardly just takes cloak and wraps it around. I've never had a problem with daytime, just not feeling myself right now. Like myself right now. Words.
It is overwhelming.
When you put the cloak on, there's like this warmth instantly, like it's a little enveloping, not too warm where it's uncomfortable, but just enough where almost similar to like the feeling of a weighted blanket. Uh, it's strange because the fabric itself is so light.
So, and as Tova leads the way, she kind of looks at Katla and says, "You know, maybe one of the other ones will work for this one too. So maybe it's not so hard. Maybe you don't have to make up a completely new one."
Right, maybe you're right, and there is something in just lore and memory.
Yeah, it seems like they all had. You said they all made the chaos calmer. Yeah, since you guys left, from the spring, Tova seems very thoughtful, very a little bit more quiet, just thinking more. And as you walk away from the spring, um, that heavy pollen, that moist pollen, heavy air, kind of dries up more, and you don't feel it kind of tickling and heavy in your lungs anymore. And you guys walk further towards the area that Tova pointed out, and as you get there, gets it feels warmer and brighter as get closer to the area, and it's close to the edge of a wheat field. The Tova says it's right over here, and it's like there's like tall, like sun drenched, crunchy grass that's there, and there's some of the soil that you can see. It's not the heavy wet soil that you've seen, but it's almost cracked, and it's like the heat kind of comes off the ground.
This definitely looks like the spot.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Okay. I'm.
If you don't mind, I would like to try something.
Go right ahead.
And she'll step up and kneel down on one knee on the ground and sort of run her hand over the ground. And I would like to cast Earth Sense,
Okay.
which tap into the energy of a physical location to discern what happened there in the past hour. And
Okay.
then like I get an ethereal replay of the past events of the last hour. It says here in a circular area up to 100 feet.
Okay. So as you sitting down and you're casting your spell, what does that look like?
Yeah, so she runs her hand over the ground, and then the last little bit of the spell is she takes a handful of ash and tosses it into the air, and it settles down into this ethereal replay of the things that happened.
So, since it's ash, I'm thinking what you almost see like a double, a little higher of the of the plants that you see now. Um, it's a grayish, silverish version of them. It kind of almost liquidy, kind of like heffia. Um, and it seems like the plants were actually a little taller, a little healthier. And as you watch, kind of like, I'm guessing you can probably speed it up. I'm treating this like a replay. It's like you can see that the wind has died off, and it's the things are not, you know, the stalks basically. I think blades of the grass are not really moving, and you can actually see a figure of a woman, like she comes directly out of the light, and she just gently touches the top of the grass, and then slowly turns around, almost like she's dancing, and then she walks back into the light.
Can we all see Katla's spell, or is that just...
No, if you're part, everybody can see that because Katla is sharing that with you guys. So you saw a humanoid woman, might be a Vetir, might be a human, might be, but you saw her stepping straight out of the light, running her hands over the grass, almost doing like a little dance in all directions, and then she vanished back into the bright light.
Don't know what it is with me making rolls I'm bad at, but can I make another Intuit roll?
Absolutely.
Is there a way to help?
You could make it a group roll, and then we'll just take the average.
Only if you want help, Lark. I just wanted to offer just in case.
I am totally fine doing this on an I mess up. I do not mind. I hold nothing against my random dice. So maybe if you need to save my butt.
Eva will stand back and watch Lark.
Like, okay, what is happening now?
Lark is going to try.
Still feeling impulsive, I guess.
Yeah, is going to open up to the voices that they consistently hear, to be like, I want to speak with you in a very forceful way. And I will roll the Intuit roll.
Okay.
I'm just gonna have to hope that if I make them mad, that Katla and Aoife can save my butt. Why? That's fine. It's a 2. We're good. It's fine.
All right. So as you,
this is very in character.
Yeah, as you reach out and you're trying to reach this ancient Vetir, you just you kind of put yourself out there. That exuberance, that excitement, that hyperactivity that kind of soaked into you a little bit, makes you a little bit too bold, I guess. You're loud. You're not a person knocking. You're a child running and screaming. So from suddenly, like the light of the sun feels brighter, and you guys kind of, especially Aoife, that is absolutely not your thing. You squint, and from within this light, steps a figure, and you see her, and she seems shaped of flame and gold leaf. Her hair is drifting like burning petals. It's kind of shortish. It's not as long as Hefja's. Her eyes are bright as the noon sun. And when she speaks, it's not from her mouth. Her mouth doesn't move. It is almost as if it comes like from the space behind your thoughts, like warm, steady, undeniable, like it's soaked into your brain like sun, like the sun would soak into your skin. And you hear this almost indignant voice. It says, "You walk and feels that flower because of me. I gave them bloom. I gave them life. Why do your voices come to me this loud, this anxious, like warnings? Why do you carry worry in your hearts when all I've done is give light? Why do you yell?"
I don't. Orchid just kind of looks up and then down and done what with it? Motioning to the ground, and this is the exact wrong thing to do. I know this is not a good response. I'm rolling with that too here.
Yep.
And is just I think the normal kind of oddly green and blue and violet hues that kind of occasionally permeate their skin and hair just kind of drain, and they're clearly not respond. Lark isn't upset, really. It's more of like, I'm pointing out it's the point of, I'm pointing out a fact here of what is not growing, and is that I know that it's not gonna help, but I feel like that's what they do. Please don't make me fight the sun. No, it's fine. I'll fight. I'll fight God. We're good.
And she kind of looks at Lark, like tilts her head, and there's like light flaring around her face like a corona, and her tone is like really proud. It's like, life must burn bright or it does not live at all. I slumber too long. I will not close my eyes again. Would you have me withhold the gift of the sun? And you kind of feel a little bit of extra heat to your face, and your little baby hairs curl a little bit from the heat. Tova's in the back, like covering her eyes, like, I am not. That's all on y'all.
Tova's like, I'm not with them.
Like big sidestep to the left.
I am not even here.
Aoife will kind of take a step forward and say, "Your light, it burns bright, but too much and it can harm. And I appreciate that you are wanting us to grow after slumbering for so long, but you must be tired. Are you not?"
And just like the heat like spikes suddenly around her a little bit, and the grasses around her feet like kind of curl, like it got really hot, and it's like her voice kind of booms a little, almost like there's sunlight like breaking through the clouds, and it's like breaking into your thing. And she says, "You speak in shadows while I shine in truth. There's worry in your words I cannot ignore. I will not dim for fear alone. Speak."
I think Katla will step up and say, even a light as beautiful as yours can be too much. It can hurt those around it without meaning to.
And her light just dims just a little bit. It's kind of like turns into like a softer hue instead of being like this very bright noontime. You know, it's like when the heat kind of eases. And she says, Solfrioa, I'm the light. I'm meant to bring joy, not ruin. Did I harm the hands that sew?
Yes. Sorry. Lark's just not good at this.
I could just imagine there's this proud, super bright, golden Vetir of the sun. And then there's Lark just like speaking truth to power. Yes, you did. You curled my baby hairs with heat, but yes, you did.
The only thing keeping Lark from not being like, I will fight the gods right now is probably Katla's spell.
And yeah,
Oh,
she
go
looks
ahead.
really worried. And she's like, I want to ease the light. I want to listen. I don't I don't want to continue the harm beneath the bloom if it harms the hands that sew it.
If balance is key, all of one can harm, but shared between three, that is when the work can be done. And I think she'll gesture to Katla to like, all right, say the rhyme. Let's do the rhyme. Let's do the rhyme.
Yeah, before Lark says something else. Because Lark is literally this is hilarious because this is probably something like this would probably be what would be considered Lark's, I don't know, senior ancestor. I forget. It's like why would you don't talk back to people like this? It's Lark's just sitting there like, yeah, you messed up. What do you want me to tell you?
And it's just like Pova is just looking at you, and then she just quietly says, I know you wanted to help us, and you have, but too much help can hurt too. Too much sun can burn. And then she also looks at Cutler like,
Yeah, I will.
Is that a lore roll? I forget.
Good news. That is another 11. These virtual dice love me tonight, which I have a bad feeling about for Slash in the morning. But
Oh no.
Yeah, so that's an 11.
All right, so you pick one of the rhymes that you know or poems that you've already said, and you repeat it, and you guys encourage her to Solfrioa to repeat it, and she starts repeating what you're saying, and it's like the light kind of dims a little, the warmth around you starts to ease, or the heat. It's still warm. The warmth still remains, but it no longer overwhelms you. Um, the ground is not quite as cracked anymore, or as dry. And as you calm down the third of the Vetir, that the blast of magic that came from Vartra, um, the tree that you saved from the frost, woke them up, and they just woke up with way too much energy, and they overcompensated. Now that you have calmed them and restored the balance, the crops will stand proud again. The spores and the pollen will fade back into the earth. The water will stay in its channels once more. And Tova kind of turns to you guys, and there's like the sunlight is kind of glinting off of the silver in your hair. And she said, "You didn't fight them. You listened. Listening saved us." And she kind of brings you guys back towards Corndal, where the rest of the town is still preparing for their holiday, and which is called Midsummer Blot. Midsummer Blot, which is the midsummer solstice, and it seems like the feelings are less heavy. The children are playing louder and with more exuberance as you guys make your way into Corndal, and Tova, invites you to the feast and to rest afterwards, as she proudly starts telling the story of how you balanced the powers of the Vetir, and how now the overgrowth will recede, the poisonous flowers will stop throwing the pollen into the air that has been bothering some of the children, and that the crops should start to thrive again. And how fondly she talks about the Vetir, and you know who she likes the most. But yeah, she shares all of this, and most of the villagers, they will just express their gratitude to you guys, even though I think some of them don't quite believe in the Vetir just yet. They just think that's a little bit of exaggeration. But sometimes when you look over at Tova, it almost seems like some of her hair strands are damp during the evening, and then they dry off again, and then a different one gets kind of wet, and you guys just finish celebrating with your new friends.
Queer, magical, lesbian, yes.
Yeah. With that, you have saved Corndal, and you have calmed down the three Vetir who were just too excited and too passionate to jump back into their work. And ta-da! Everybody's saved! Also, Tova is definitely going to continue her life as a farmer, but with a new understanding of her bond with the land and with Herya. And now she feels even more at peace with herself, and her relationship with herself and the Vetir. And I mean, it's in the early stages, but there's an understanding between these two. And yeah, nobody here in this town, not even Hefjaskan, gonna use her old name ever again. And with that, we are finished, and we're gonna go around. And I hope everybody has has entered in the raffle while we were, trying to calm these spirits down with poems and songs. And if you have a little bit of extra shiny or some extra coins in your pockets, absolutely please donate. We are raising money for the Trans Justice Funding Project. The link is right on top of the chat. However, to win the copy of the Valor class starter adventure raffle, you don't need to donate. You can just put exclamation point Vildheim in the chat and join that in. And how about we go around with my beautiful players and you tell them who you are and where we can find you. And we're going to start the same way. Mary, tell everybody about yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mary. Today I have been playing Aoife. Our pronouns are she, her. You can find me online everywhere at the Nerd on Wheels. Coming up for me, you can find me next on, if I'm doing math correctly, the Pocket Dragon Pub. It's part of a month-long Pride charity event with House of Dreams and Pantsless Table for the Rainbow Railroad charity to help get queer people out of dangerous places and into safer places. We are playing Our Flag Means Kiss, which is all about lesbian pirates. So if you liked the TV show Our Flag Means Death and you wanted more femmes, that is what we're doing next Sunday. Next Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern. And I update my schedule on different projects. There's some currently in the works that I can't talk about right now, but I post regularly on Blue Sky and other social media at the Nerd on Wheels.
All right, awesome. Next, Sophia.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Sophia. If you want to see me play games when I'm a little less tired and a little more animated, hopefully you'll stop by in the morning at 5 a.m. and I will be a little more awake. I'll be running Slash, a little one shot I'm calling The Bloody Butcher. It's going to be a fun little B-movie horror time, so come check that out because we will still be raising money and all of that. Thursday is the final episode of Under Blue Moon over on Sword and Key. Please come check that out. We're having a ton of fun with that. And if you're not caught up, you definitely should. There's a lot of emotions to be had in that one. So please check that one out. And let's see. Saturday the 28th, I'll be on Roll for Felicity for Incredibly Indie. So come check that out as well. And keep an eye out for other projects from both Nerds with Dice and for me in the future. And yeah, thank you for being here, everyone. Giveaway in just a second.
All right, next is Keldry, who's not only one of our awesome players, but also our amazing tech goblin. Tell us where everybody can find you.
Hi. You can find me mostly on YouTube doing fantasy art and fan art for Cozy and other games, as well as just a lot of interesting little indie games. Mostly on the channel Mossling, or at Starlit Moss on YouTube. You can also find me here on Nerds with Dice on our other the long-term campaign for Vildheim, which we have here every other Friday. I don't remember when our next Friday is, but it will be on the Nerds with Dice social on Blue Sky And you can also join the Nerds with Dice Discord to get updates on that. I also occasionally help with games over on Singularity Roleplay. So those are the places you can find me.
All right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yes, and I am Vivi or Vivacia. I have been your storyteller, and as Caldry has already said, we also have a Vildheim campaign that we're playing bi-weekly. This is in the same world and in the same timeline, but earlier. And it is called Valkyria and Ashen Wake, where all of our shield maidens woke up sure that they're shield maidens, but they can't remember much. And the world thinks the gods are gone. They've been gone for generations. And they're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Else, you can find me on Blue Sky as Vivacia, and you can also see some of the other stuff that I did, vivacia.contact.in.bio, and Nerds with Dice, Discord, Substack, merch, YouTube. Lots and lots of things, and you can find the links here on the channel. Absolutely hit that follow button if you haven't already. And we have been here raising money for the Trans Justice Funding Project, and we would love for you to donate if you have a little bit of extra, and you can do so comfortably and don't hurt yourself or put yourself in trouble, as we are done right now. However, do not go anywhere. Next, it's going to be Queers with Alan. And also, always remember to give Sophia lots and lots of love. She put her whole heart and soul into this endeavor, and she's barely sleeping right now. I mean, if she's sleeping 3 hours in a 24-hour thing right now, then she's doing good. So send her some love, send some shiny for the Trans Justice funding project, and stick around and watch Queers or get up early tomorrow morning and watch some slasher. And with that, thank you so much for being here. Bye.
Bye all.
Bye.